The day my mom discovered I was living a secret life over on TikTok was probably the worst moment of my life. It all started when I was 13. My mom and I moved to a new town to get away from her crazy ex-boyfriend. And so I had to start at a new school, and I seriously didn't fit in there. All my classmates were super rich, and I felt way too intimidated to speak to any of them. I just hung out by myself, and it was pretty lonely. At least it was, until one day when I discovered this app called Musical.ly. That was the moment my life changed, and I wish I could have seen how crazy it was about to get. For starters, my mom didn't even know I had a phone. It's not like she could afford to buy me one. I mean, she was just a cleaner at some rich woman's house. One day, I was there waiting for her to finish, and I spotted this old phone under a cushion on the sofa. I quickly put it in my bag and hoped my mom's boss wouldn't notice. She was so rich, I doubt she would. And ever since that moment, I'd been glued to Musical.ly, creating all these awesome videos whenever my mom wasn't around. Pretty soon, I was addicted. And although I tried not to use the phone when I was with my mom, one day I couldn't resist. She was cleaning the kitchen, so I went out to the pool. Yep, her boss even had a pool! And I made a video. Then I uploaded it and we went home. Later that night, the comments started pouring in. I couldn't believe it. I stayed in the bath for like 2 hours just reading them all. Everyone kept saying how epic my house looked and that I must come from a rich family. And that's when I came up with an idea. It was simple. I would pretend to be someone else. I'd always been kind of embarrassed by the fact that my mom cleaned rich people's houses and that she couldn't even hold down a relationship. She always attracted these crazy men. But now, with Musical.ly, I could be whoever I wanted to be. I was now Zoe, the rich girl with a rich mom in an amazing house with a pool. I once took a video of me eating crackers and caviar I took from the boss's fridge. And once, I even tried on her $50,000 dress, wore her diamond rings, laid on her fancy bed, wore her expensive perfume, used her makeup, sang in her bathroom, and so many other crazy things. Every day, I'd go to see my mom at her job, and she was so happy about it. She thought I was coming to spend more time with her. But actually, I was just hanging by the pool, posting videos on the app. I'd always wait until my mom was vacuuming. Then, I'd sing my heart out. My mom wanted me to work hard to become a doctor, but all I wanted to do was sing. And soon, I had thousands of followers, and it made me feel more confident. I could really do this singing thing. Plus, the fact that it looked like I was a rich girl probably helped too. It was crazy because at school, I was this total nobody. I might as well have been invisible. But online, I was a star. I didn't even care about making friends in real life. I had all my Musical.ly fans and friends. A whole year went by, and I seriously didn't make one friend at school. My mom asked me about it one day, and I just told her I only wanted to hang out with her. She said, "Oh, baby, you're so sweet. I'm so lucky to have you." If only she knew the truth. That I was living a total lie online. And that was just the beginning. One morning, I was walking to school, and I pulled out my phone as soon as I was out of sight of our apartment. I went to open Musical.ly, and to my complete shock, it wasn't there. In its place was something called TikTok. What was going on? I opened this TikTok thing and let out the biggest sigh of relief. All my followers were still there. The app had just changed its name. But when I got to school, everyone was on their phones. Over the next week, I watched as everyone got sucked into this TikTok world. I started to get nervous. Up until then, no one from school had followed me on Musical.ly, so no one knew that I was lying about my life. Then one day after school, I was on my phone, and my worst nightmare came true. April, the most popular girl in school, commented on my last video. She said, "Wow, Zoe, is that really you? You're in my class, aren't you? How come we aren't friends? I didn't realize you're a rich kid." I won't lie, I seriously thought about deleting the app. If she found out the truth, that I was just a cleaner's daughter, she'd make my life hell. I'd be the laughingstock of the school. But I couldn't delete it. This was my life now. I wasn't about to give it all up, not for anything. The next morning, I told my mom I was sick and couldn't go to school. But she saw right through my lie and basically shoved me out the door. I was terrified. What if April had told everyone about me? As soon as I got to school, I saw April by her locker. I quickly ducked my head and hurried in the opposite direction. But I heard her running towards me. "Zoe, wait up!" she called. Oh my God. This couldn't be happening. I turned towards her and was surprised to see not just April, but her whole girl gang. And they were all smiling at me. My life was over. "We didn't realize you're so popular, Zoe. Want to hang out sometime?" April asked me. And that's when things started to escalate. They wanted to be my friend. They actually believed my TikTok life was real. Soon, they started inviting me to all their parties and saved me a seat in the cafeteria. But I wasn't even interested. Honestly, I had my friends on TikTok. I didn't need them. I had to play along, though. One day, April asked me when I was planning to invite them over to my house for a pool party. I froze. I had to make a plan. I waited for the perfect opportunity. right after one of my mom's shifts at the house. When she wasn't looking, I grabbed the keys and told her I was going over to April so we could study together. She was so happy that I finally had friends, she didn't even argue with me. I ran over to my mom's boss's house, made sure the coast was clear, and texted April telling her to come on over with the girls and to bring their bikinis. I felt like such a badass sitting in my mom's boss's house. Why hadn't I done this before? It was so peaceful. Perfect for making videos. I decided to record one while I waited for April. I was singing at the top of my lungs, and so I didn't hear the footsteps behind me. Suddenly, someone said, "Who are you?" I turned around and almost dropped my phone. It was my mom's boss. What was she doing here? She literally never came home. I tried to speak, but I couldn't get the words out. And then she noticed the phone in my hand and said, "Hey, that's mine. Are you a thief? I'm calling the police right now." I was so scared that I just started crying. I told her my mom was her cleaner, but that she was sick, and I'd come to help my mom out with the cleaning. I didn't even know I was capable of lying on the spot like that. Then I told her I'd found the phone and was just using it to call my mom to check that she was okay. I couldn't even look at my mom's boss. But instead of freaking out, she came right over to me and hugged me. She told me her name was Samantha and that she hoped my mom would be okay. Then she said I could keep the phone if I wanted because it was just an old one. I had to bite my lip to stop myself from laughing. If she knew I'd been using her phone for more than a year, she wouldn't be acting so nice to me. Then she asked me to stay for tea, and I said okay. She went to boil the kettle, and then my phone pinged. Oh my god, the girls were outside. I texted them to say my mom was sick and was super contagious. Then I told them I'd make up for it on the weekend. They didn't reply, but I didn't care. Samantha and I sat down, and I couldn't stop staring at her. She was so pretty. And then she asked me if I liked to sing. I went bright red. Has she heard me? Then she told me she was a singer too, and asked me if I wanted to sing with her. I couldn't believe it. We ended up spending the whole evening laughing and singing, and when it was time to go home, I didn't want to leave. I wish that I could have Samantha as my mom instead. When I got home, I was still smiling. But then reality hit me. My mom was super angry that I was back so late and said she'd miss me. All I could think about was Samantha and how I needed to see her again. For the next few weeks, I started spending more and more time at Samantha's. My mom would be so upset if she knew about it. She thought I was studying, but actually, I was just singing and chilling with Samantha. One day, I got home from school and my mom was waiting for me. She was wearing a nice dress and said she saved up enough money and wanted to treat me to dinner and a movie because I'd been studying so hard lately. I told her I couldn't, that I had a big exam the next day and really needed to study. She pointed out that it was just one evening, but I already made plans with Samantha, and she even promised to come on my TikTok with me. My followers were waiting for this. But my mom insisted and I didn't have a choice. We went to the restaurant and I was so anxious the whole time. I kept going to the bathroom to check my phone and noticed I had 12 missed calls from Samantha. I ran back out to my mom and told her I was sorry, but I had to go study. Then I just left her there. She looked like she was about to cry, but I didn't look back. I just ran. She'd get over it. Plus, now she only had to pay for one dinner instead of two. Samantha was waiting for me, and we made the video of us singing together and uploaded it. And then the comments started rolling in. Everyone kept saying, "Wow, your mom is the coolest!" And I didn't correct them, because this was exactly what I wanted people to think. When I got home that night, I felt so happy, but my mom was already in bed, and I knew I'd hurt her feelings. I just hoped she didn't find out about my TikTok, because then she'd really be heartbroken. After Samantha appeared on my TikTok, I started getting even more attention at school. Suddenly, the cutest guy in class asked me out on a date, and even though April had a crush on him, I said yes. No boy had ever asked me out before, and I was keeping my distance from April anyway. If she found out Samantha wasn't actually my mom, everyone would hate me. So I went on a date with him. But he seemed more interested in getting onto my TikTok than in actually hanging out with me. I decided to post a video of us anyway. Maybe I'd get more followers for having a cute boyfriend. Then, a few days later, I was helping my mom carry some groceries back from the store. We were waiting at the bus stop when April appeared. She was with her friends, and I didn't have time to hide. They saw me and came over. My mom was busy getting money ready for the bus, so I walked over to them and tried to act normal. Then April said, "If you're so rich, why are you waiting for a bus? And who is that woman with you?" Then they all laughed at me and walked off. I was so humiliated, and I prayed my mom didn't hear. We got on the bus, and I just sat there all quiet. I was dreading the next day at school. And sure enough, it was awful. As soon as I arrived, April came up to me and took me by the arm. Then she whispered into my ear that if I didn't let her be in my TikTok videos, she'd tell the whole school that Samantha wasn't my mom and that I was actually poor and lived in a tiny apartment. I couldn't believe it. How had she found out? And how could she blackmail me like this? She says she followed me after she saw me at the bus stop. And now I would either let her be in my videos or she'd expose me. I had no choice. I had to let her appear in them. She was making my life a nightmare. I really didn't want her to be in my videos because she was prettier than me, and even though she couldn't sing well, she'd still get lots of new followers, and I didn't like the thought of that. And then, to make matters worse, she told me I had to break up with my boyfriend, or she'd tell him too. But I didn't want to break up with him. He was making me even more popular. So I told April I would, but then I didn't. She must have seen us together one day, because the next thing I knew, everything blew up. I was with my mom at Samantha's house, waiting for her to finish a shift, and also secretly hoping Samantha would turn up so we could hang out. I heard the gate opening, and my heart started beating faster. Samantha was home. But then I saw it wasn't Samantha, it was April. I didn't understand what she was doing there. She came right up to me and asked me if she could make a video by the pool. Well, I couldn't say no. So we headed to the pool, and then she just grabbed my phone and started filming. She was live on my TikTok. She started walking towards my mom and she was speaking, saying that this was my real mom and that actually she was just a cleaner, that Samantha wasn't my mom, and I lied about everything. I tried to grab the phone from her, but she already posted it. And that's not even the worst part. My mom heard everything and she was crying so hard. April showed her my TikTok account and then left. I wanted to push April in the pool. I was so angry. My mom was sobbing and she said to me, "I'm sorry I'm not the mom you wish to have. I've made your life tough and I understand why you're not proud of me. I know you'd rather have a mom like Samantha." Hearing my mom say this just made me break down. What had I been doing? My mom was doing her best and I had been so ungrateful. This whole time I'd been hanging out with Samantha when I could have been hanging out with my mom. Then my mom asked me about the phone and started crying when I told her it was Samantha's. She said, "See, Samantha can give you everything I never could." But I told my mom that I didn't want that. I just got carried away. I realized it was seeing that made me happy, not TikTok. So I plucked up the courage to tell my mom the reason I had been spending so much time with Samantha. Because I wanted to be a singer. Then my mom started crying even more and said she'd also wanted to be a singer, but she had to be realistic and have a cleaning job so we could survive. Oh my God, I didn't even know my mom could sing. Suddenly, we had this thing that connected us, and I just started hugging my mom and apologizing. I'm happy to say that she ended up quitting her cleaning job, and we moved again. There was no way I could face my old school after all the lies I told. Plus, my mom really didn't like that town anyway. I gave Samantha her phone back and saved up for my own. Mom and I started all over again, and now we are seeing all the time, even performing together on weekends. Maybe we'll record an album soon. And no, before you ask, I'm not going back on TikTok. That wasn't the real me, and I don't want to pretend anymore. I much prefer the new, honest me, and I love being close to my mom.